was reading A Course in Miracles this morning, and one of my little notes was sticking out. It caught my attention, and I love this little note. It says, "Tender heart, do not let the anger of others harden you. Your tenderness is a gift, a reflection for those who must find their own tenderness. Lead with your heart, tender warrior. Bring light to those who feel consumed or overwhelmed in darkness. Let the strength of your gentleness soften the hardest of hearts. I surrender to you. I live in service to you and to the light in all my brothers." And on the back, there's just a few other ones that I want to read and share with you guys. Dream of your brother's kindness instead of dwelling in your dreams on his mistakes. You know, sometimes like we just see people for, like, if they've made a mistake before in the past, we just expect them to keep making mistakes. And instead of just seeing them for their kindness, you know, we're kind of seeing them, like, expecting them to be tripped up. If people do receive our thoughts, you know, wouldn't you rather send them kindness than expecting them to be, you know, making a mistake? In this holy instant, you will unchain all of your brothers and refuse to support their weakness or your own. Every decision you make stems from what you think you are and represents the value that you place upon yourself. So I love this book. There's great little notes. There is no fear in the present when each instant stands clear and separated from the past without its shadow reaching out into the future. It takes no time at all to be what you are. Let me see if there's any. They're so beautiful. This is, you see the world you value. Acceptance of your creations is the oneness of creation without which you could never be complete. Light cannot enter darkness when a mind believes in darkness and will not let it go. Truth does not struggle against ignorance, and love does not attack fear. What needs no protection does not defend itself. There is no substitute for truth. Those who remember always that they know nothing and who have become willing to learn everything will learn it. In the holy instant, the condition of love is met, for minds are joined without the body's interference, and where there is communication, there is peace. Where there is communication, there is peace is like meditation, is like sitting still and communicating with your nervous system. Like, I have this problem my whole life. I have a problem of being stuck in my head instead of being in my heart. Like most of us, we're stuck in our masculine and not open to being in our feminine about what we feel. And when I'm in my head, I experience stress and a need to hurry. And I also experience a tightness of my nervous system, of my body and my muscles, instead of being relaxed and being open. And over this last year, every time that I'm in my head, instead of being in my heart, my body is like really loud about it. And so like I deplete really, really fast if I'm not in my body. So what I've been trying to practice, you know, even in the morning, like when I'm waking up, is just being slow and being intentional. One of my favorite ways to get my thoughts from my head into my body is like going for a walk in the morning. It's been one of the most helpful things for me. Before I have my coffee, before I look and turn on my phone, before I'm listening to, you know, looking at any social media or anything, I just try and put my thoughts into my body, you know, because moving your body, like, I'm making a video about how I was putting Alan Watts into my head because the voice was so fast and aggressive that I couldn't pay attention to how I felt. And, you know, when we move, whether or not we are able to be intentional about that movement, like maybe I'm going for a walk and I'm struggling. Like this morning, I was struggling, like I could feel myself, you know, for one moment I'm walking and I'm calm in my body, and then these set of thoughts come in and I get tight and in my head again, and I just starts running and I start feeling depleted, and then I'm back in my body, and then I'm up in my head, and it's like this constant battle of the mind between the heart, this masculine feminine balance. But even though we're not always perfect in, you know, I'm going to be intentional with my body and I'm not perfect about being in my body, there's always, when you're moving your body and you have the intention of, I'm relaxing my muscles, I am working with my pharmaceutical system, right? When we move our muscles, we are releasing all these compounds, like pharmaceutical grades, antidepressants, anti-pain relievers. I'm in the sun, I'm creating vitamin D, I'm breaking down my cholesterol. I'm, synthesizing a whole bunch of hormones, even though I can't pay attention to that all the time and I'm struggling between being in my body and my head, that benefit of movement is so good for me. And I know afterwards I'm going to be more likely to be relaxed in my body, right? Walking is so good for blood flow of the mind, everything like that, for the brain. And the same thing with Alan Watts. I talked about, I made a video, Alan Watts Saved My Life, a little while ago, about just putting his lectures in my head. And even though I wasn't able to listen and comprehend a lot of the time, just having it in the field, like, our brains are supercomputers, so it picks up everything. And I love Alan Watts. Like, I love him so much. He was so helpful for me. I go through phases where I'm listening to his lectures a lot, or maybe I found another, video on YouTube where I feel like it's very helpful for me to be calm in my body. But yeah, just to leave this here, keep your heart open. There's a lot of, they say misery loves company. That's what this tender heart quote reminds me of. That's the main one that was sticking out to me. Tender heart, do not let the anger of others harden you. Misery loves company, Negativity loves to grab hold of the light. It loves, like, you could be happy, bopping along, being in your body, and someone else who's going through a hard time just needs your light, and they will grab on and out onto you. And, you don't have to let, the mailman, beautiful. You don't have to you don't have to take on the energy of others. You don't have to take on the confusion of other people, Continue to be your light. You don't have to react. And I'm constantly reminding myself of this as, like, things pop up constantly and challenge us to be in our hearts instead of in our minds. And, one of the things that helps me the most is when somebody is unkind to me in some way and I want to react, is that karma is real. It's the second law of physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. When you put negativity out in the world, you will get that back. These are just laws of physics, which we know to be true. And when you're putting, kind thoughts out into the world, you also receive that back, right? So again, I'm trying to, even in instances where somebody has been unkind to me in some way, like one of the notes that I read, I'm still working to see that person in their kindness rather than, this person is just going to give me their negativity again. This person is just going to try and be rude to me again, and then also, I can take my space. I don't have to open my heart as fully. I can let them be in their space that they're in and still love them and be in my own little space over here. And, send loving, it's easier sometimes to send loving thoughts from afar than to be right up close with somebody who is, you're maybe struggling with sending them some kind thoughts. So anyway, today's a beautiful day. The Course in Miracles, I love this book. It's a foundation for inner peace. My neighbor gave it to me. I always read this book. If you are struggling between your mind and your heart, I suggest looking and trying to get a copy of this book. And, waiting for the miracles to happen. There's like a Course in Miracles. There's like a million different things that can happen today, So it's like, I'm ready for those miracles to roll in. I'm ready for somebody to tip me $100. Please, somebody tip me $100. Why not? There's miracles that can happen. Or just like some sort of kindness, some sort of kind act. So anyway, keep it light. It just made me think of this man who came in. He was a solo diner last week. He came in by himself, and he was in this really difficult place, and I just felt his loneliness. He was saying, things like, basically that, he is lonely and that afterwards he's going to go home and be alone, and how he struggled being an alcoholic, but now he can't be an alcoholic anymore because of his liver and some accident that he got in. And at the end of the meal, he said something to me, and I didn't know how to respond. I just smiled at him, and I said, keep it light. And I was just like, keep it light here. And it's true, I don't know. Sometimes all you can do is be like a bright light in someone's world, even though they're in the midst of their darkness. And you don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. Like, just you being open to sharing instead of like again, I have this problem where I kind of restrict myself. When I feel so much darkness in my past, I feel myself restricting instead of just like taking a breath out and staying open. So trying to practice that is a daily work in progress. But yeah. Anyway, I'll leave this here. You can like, share, and subscribe if you find this helpful. But as always, I wish you the best of luck.